welcome. I am so excited to see you all. I'm just going to stop sharing for a second just to say, hey, welcome. I'm Betsy. I am your Blue Mountains Alumni Chairwoman for the Alumni Board, which is a great privilege. And I hope you've all signed up to the Facebook, have joined the LinkedIn group, and obviously listening to the emails, because we really want to build out the community this year and make it bigger than better than ever. So please, if you're still in touch with other graduates, let them know and encourage them to join. I graduated in 2009, 11 years ago. How did that happen? And these days I have my full-time job, which is working for Macquarie Bank. I'm an associate director there, and I help organizations transform. And so I talk to them about all their digital transformation, how we use data, and how we can innovate as an organization. But what I love doing is speaking to people about money and helping them to become financially fit and fearless, which is what we're going to cover tonight. And well, someone's just said, wait until you say I graduated 40 years ago. Yeah, then that'll really be something. So now I am going to just dive straight into it tonight. But before we begin, I just want to say a couple of things. This is super interactive. This is going to be a workshop because I want you to take away some really practical skills from everything that we discussed tonight. Skills that you can use today, tomorrow, and well into the future. So grab a pen, grab a piece of paper, grab a glass of wine if you can, because money should be fun and a little bit fabulous. So if you need to go pour yourself a drink, that's fine. We're just doing intros for now, so you've got about a few minutes. I did not get organized, and I've only got water. If I see my husband walk past, I might get him to fetch me a drink if we can. So tonight is all about how to be financially fit and fearless. It's been a hell of a year. I'm sure a lot of you would agree. And I think never before has our financial well-being been so front of mind and important to us. So what I would like to do tonight is just share with you some super practical skills that can really help you make the most out of your money and take some of the fear that some of us might be feeling right now around our finances. Before I do, the financial world is heavily regulated, and what I am sharing with you tonight, I have to let you know, is just general information only. It's for educational purposes. And when I'm sharing this with you, I don't know your personal situation, your financial goals or needs. So I haven't taken them into account in the material that I've prepared. So if you hear something and you're like, that's a handy tip, Betsy, I want to know more, please make sure that it's appropriate for you before you implement it. And if you're not sure, seek the help of a suitably qualified professional, financial advisor, tax advisor, legal advisor before doing so. So I'm Betsy Westcott. Like I said, these days I work for Macquarie Bank, and in my spare time, I love to be a financial coach because my greatest wish is that everyone was financially literate. How I came to be doing this is I had a very brief career in hotel school, and found myself in the world of banking. I worked my way up from a little teller on the cash machine to helping people buy homes. I then became a bank manager, which was a lot of fun. I think I was about 21 at the time, and I used to have a lot of people not believe that I was the bank manager. They'd come in, hi, I'd like to speak to the manager, and I'd be like, that's me. And then they're like, no, it can't be. But so yeah, anyway, I overcame that. And after doing that for a few years and running branches for NAB across Sydney's Lower North Shore, I really missed that one-on-one relationship with customers. So I decided to become a private banker, looking after wealthy families and individuals. I got qualified as a financial advisor, and I just had the best time. I absolutely loved it, helping people understand, make the most out of their money, do investments and lots of exciting transactions. And during this time, one of my clients asked me if I would help him to build a brand new bank. And I thought, it's not every day you get asked to build a bank. So I said yes, and I helped start one of Australia's newest banks, Ginger Bank, where I was their head of investor relations and customer operations. So in charge of the design, build, and scale of banking operations. And after finishing doing that for a couple of years, I joined Macquarie's, and I really missed helping people one-on-one whilst I love the world of technology. So I also launched my own coaching business, and I also helped launch Ladies Finance Club, which is a club for the ladies, which helps you become educated and financially fearless in a really safe environment. So I've talked about my money personality, which I've included for you there. Now, if you've signed up to my newsletter, you will get a link to doing the money personality. It's a little bit of fun. It's probably about 10 questions, but that is really helpful in helping you to understand your relationship with money, which is a whole other topic that we could cover off, but we don't have time tonight. But after this, if you want to sign up to my newsletter, you can find out what your money personality is too. My celebrity crush is Scott Pape. Now, you might be like, Scott Pape, who's that? He's the barefoot investor. And this crush actually developed at the Blue Mountains Hotel School when back in like level 2 or something, he came to the hotel school with Host Class and told us that we should all be interested in super. Anyway, I'm a country girl. He's a country guy who's wearing RMs and talking about how to retire in comfort. And I just thought, woof. So he's been my celebrity crush ever since. And if anyone else remembers those days, please give me a shout out. Or if maybe it was just me who took Liz, yes, Kirsten, thank you. I'm so glad someone else remembers that. So anyway, that's when my crush on Scott Pape first developed. My goal is to help you all become financially literate, and things I love is a good cuddle, a glass of wine, and my Glam Corner subscription. Ladies, if you haven't checked out Glam Corner, do it. Save me lots of money. Now, interactive tonight, I just want to get everyone chatting a little bit. Tell me on a scale of 1, 2, 3, or 4, how's your financial health right now? How are we doing? How are we feeling? Just drop me a number and let me know. I want to see that chat light up. So are you a 1? Betsy, please send help. Are you a 2? You're like, I think I'm okay. Are you like number 3? I'm just fine. Or you're like, my finances are fabulous. I'm here for the giggles and the wine. All right, we got some 2s, we got some 3s. I'm loving the participation. Thank you. 2, 3, 7. I love 7. You're like, I'm off the Richter. Awesome. 1, 3, 2. Great. Okay, this is really good, guys. Thank you for sharing and for letting us know. So it looks like there's a good spectrum of financial health going on right now. Most of you are doing okay. Some of you are just fine. Others need a little help. I hope that all of you get something you can take away from tonight. And what I want you to feel at the end of this is that you've got this, because you've now got some practical skills that you can put in place. I want to take you from just surviving to financially thriving. So let's dive in. I hope you have your pen and paper ready, because we are about to get real with our money. Real. Oh, I know everyone would like the silver bullet on how to get financially healthy, but the thing is that you need to get real. You need to look at it. A lot of us would like to ignore our money. It's over there. It comes in, it goes out. I don't really pay too much attention. But the reality is, if you want to get financially healthy, you kind of need to know where you're at. So first things first, I need you to write down and draw this matrix. I call it the Let's Get Real matrix, but what it contains, or should I say, and what it contains, is 4 components of your financial well-being, which gives you a really great snapshot of where you are right now. So the first corner on the top left is what you own. I like this corner. That's a nice one. What do you own? Write down everything: cars, property, investment cards, superannuation. Owe, things that you owe in money. Earn, the money that comes in. And spend, where does the money go? So let's look at this in a little bit more detail. So the top 2, or I guess the favorite 2 everyone likes, is the own and the earn. So own is like, if you've got a car, look it up on redbook.com.au. What's it worth? What's your property worth if you happen to own property? What cash have you got in the bank, or maybe under the mattress or in the coin jar? Count that up. Investments, so if you invest in shares, maybe bonds, I don't know, collectibles, things like that, write them down. Your superannuation, we could do a whole session on superannuation. It's one of my favorites. Again, don't have enough time tonight, but this is your money. It's absolutely your money, and it counts as a part of your net worth. So write that down. And then any personal belongings you might have. Now you're going to add all of them up and see where you are. When I was working as a private banker, I actually had a client who had done this own, earn, spend matrix for every month of 15 years, which was a little OCD. I don't know. You don't have to do that unless you really love numbers, in which case fine. But it was amazing to see what they had achieved over 15 years. And there's this great saying that most of us overestimate what we can do in a year and underestimate what we can do in 5 years. And if you just did this once a year, I think you would really be surprised by the trends. And I think it would create some really great sort of awareness around your money. So make sure you're writing all of this down. The second bit we do is we look at what we earn. So if you work in a job, you've got the money you earn from your employer. Now, gross income, net income. The money that actually hits your account is called the net income. It's money that's yours to keep after the tax has been taken out. So when you're doing your budgets, you always want to do your budget on your net income, what you get to keep and is yours to spend. Now, if you have investments, you might also earn income such as rent, dividends, which is the profit of companies that you own that gets paid to you. So a company that you own a share of makes a profit, it's divided up amongst all the other owners, and it's called a dividend and gets paid to you. And then there's interest. So the money earned on bonds or on cash sitting in the bank, that's income. And then there's the money from side hustles and businesses. So if you are doing any freelancing, if you run a business, things like that, that is also income. But hot tip, don't forget to put aside money for tax. The tax man will find you. So make sure you put that aside. Now, when you're writing this down, it's really important to do it in a consistent frequency. So if you get paid weekly, try and put your bills and all your other expenses into a weekly format. If you get paid monthly, do it monthly. Fortnightly, do it fortnightly. But just make it consistent because it's much easier to keep a track of your bills, your expenses, and your income if it's all in the same format. All right, how are we going there? Everyone still with me? Just give me a hey-yo and feel free to pop any questions in. I'll try and answer them as we go along. All right, thanks, Nico. Great to see you. Okay, now, this is where we do the stuff that most of us like to skip over. Writing down what we owe. So these are loans, credit cards, buy now, pay later. Now, you're not just writing down the name of them, my NAB credit card or my what's it called, Afterpay. You want to write down the details. So if it is a credit card, for example, you want to put down the balance owing. What's the limit on that credit card? How much could you spend? Is it a $5,000, $10,000 limit? What's the interest rate? Now, if you don't know what your interest rate is, it'll either be on the statement or it will be on the institution's website. So you can look it up there. And that one might surprise you. Credit cards have really high interest rates. And then what's the minimum repayment? How much do you have to pay each cycle, be it monthly or fortnightly or something like that? And I want you to do this for everything. So credit cards, personal loans, car leases, property loans, investment loans, any of those buy now, pay later. So buy now, pay later is your Afterpay, your Zip Pay, your Klarna. I'm sure there's others because they seem to just pop up every week, but all the pays. And then I want you to include your HECS and help debt, as well as like any IOUs. So if you owe your mom money, or your housemate or your partner, write that down. And any fines, etc., that you might owe. And yeah, check about BMI, HMS, school fees, include that as well. Yeah. All right, so we've got through the O. Now, when you're doing this, I want you to have a look at your different money that you owe. We call them debts. And label if it's a good debt or a bad debt. So Jackie, you'll be pleased to hear that the money you owe BMI HMS is a good debt. What makes a good debt? So a good debt typically has a low interest rate. So anything that's 5% and under is deemed a pretty low interest rate. And also it's been used to buy something that increases in value. So think of when you buy, you borrow money to buy a house. Hopefully that house goes up in value. So it's a pretty good debt. It's also a typically low interest rate. Same for when you borrow money to buy assets like shares and things like that that are going to accumulate in value. Typically a low interest rate. You're buying something that's going up in value. It's a good debt. And I always include education because you hope that at the end of it, it enables you to get a job and thus increase your income. So it's money borrowed to do something that is going to help you earn more money. And again, should be a low interest rate, whether you're using HEX or HELP. Typically, they're quite low interest rates. So they're good debts. Bad debt. Bad debt. So what are the characteristics of a bad debt? First of all, it's a high interest rate. So anything above 5%, but actually anything above 10% high interest rate. That bad boy is taking you backwards fast. So you want to sort of prioritize paying them down as quickly as you can. And for things that have the high interest rates, they are typically used to buy what we call a liability. So a liability is something that decreases in value over time. So think of a car, buy a car, as soon as you drive it out of that car yard, it'll typically decrease in value. So that's why we call it a liability. And I kind of tell people liability is anything that you drank, you ate, you wore, you drove, you went there, you watched it if it's like an appliance, or you used it, things that go down in value over time. So as you're going through that, write down good debt, bad debt. And we're going to talk a little bit about them in more detail in a second. And then finally, where your money goes. Yes, in the spending box. Yes, that's right, Petra. So where's the money going? You earn the money, it goes out. Where does it go? So you can do this by writing down what you spend. You can either look at like 2 to 3 months worth of bank statements. So download them, go through them, what's happening there. You can use a budget planner on, for example, moneysmart.gov.au, or you can download one at betsywestcott.com resources. Let me just put the link. These are all free resources. You're super welcome to use them. And I'm probably going to be referencing them a bit tonight. So there's the link for you. And you can just take the information from the bank statements and put it into the planner. Now, if that sounds about as much fun as, I don't know, pap smear or something, don't worry, there's an app for that. So if this reeks of effort and you're like, Betsy, ain't no way I'm going to download my banking app and go through them, that's okay. There's a digital app that can solve this for you. 2 that I really like is Foo. So if you go to getfoo.com.au, you can link it to your bank accounts. They'll read the data on your bank accounts and they'll do a budget for you in seconds. Same with Pocketbook. So you can go to getpocketbook.com.au. They'll have an app you can download and they will do your budget for you, which, you know, if you're like me and a little bit lazy and don't like looking at bank statements, that's the one for you. Okay, so we've gone through step 1. We've gotten real with our money. I hope you all wrote down the matrix. It's going to take you a little bit of time to do that, but that first step is so foundational in helping you get well and get ahead with your money. Question, are there any other finance apps you recommend? For budgeting, Money Brilliant, Frollo. There is a moneysmart.gov.au app. as well. I haven't used that one. It was like, I checked it out 2 years ago and it was really clunky. I'm sure they've updated it since, but for me personally, I use Foo because they send me cute little text messages like, and tell me that I'm doing well with my money and say things like, you go Glen Coco, which I appreciate. So if it was just for budgeting, Kirsten, those are a couple, but let me know if you meant something else. Thanks for the question. Okay, so we're on to step 2, which is reprioritizing your spending. So a lot of times when people think about getting financially healthy, they think budgets, restriction, no fun. And I'm not into that. What I believe is that it's about learning how to be mindful around your money, and it's learning how to spend money on the things that matter to you and deprioritizing the things that don't, or the mindless spending, you know, those Ubers that you caught that you probably didn't need to, but you know, you weren't organized and you had to get somewhere fast, so you caught the Uber. It's, you know, the people say like don't buy coffees and things like that, but honestly, I think they're usually small expenses and you can probably afford them if having that coffee is important to you. But what you want to do is know what's going on with your money and make conscious decisions about it. So on the link that I just sent you, the betsywestcott.com resources, there's one where you can download what's important to you. And I've put on there as many expenses as I could think of. And you can go along and look at them, find the ones that you have, and just put a high, medium, or low next to it. And this is going to help you create a spending plan for yourself. So how does this work? You've got your high priority spends, your medium, your low. Well, your high priority spends are the ones that you have to do. So it's often something that's like essential. You kind of can't live without. So I put in there rent, paying the mortgage, the utility bills, what else goes in? Maybe your gym membership might be a high priority spend because it's really important to have physical well-being, things like that. So those are your not negotiables. They come in regularly usually. You're going to make them a priority. Then you've got your medium priority spend. So these are things that are like not essential, but they're really important to you and they make you feel good. So, you know, it might be putting money aside for that holiday. It might be you really enjoy buying your pet cute collars or like the premium pet food. So you want to prioritize that. For me, it's getting my hair done. I prioritize that because that's important to me, but I could live without it if I had to, kind of thing. So I put that as a medium priority. And then you've got your low priority. That is just spending that kind of happens, but it's not important to you. You don't really need it. It's not essential to your survival. So yeah, for me, like catching Ubers is a low priority spend. I can definitely live without it. And I'm usually doing it because I've been disorganized. It might be, you know, buying that pack of cigarettes because you're out on a night out and you feel like having a cheeky ciggy with your mates, but really it's not, you know, it's not good for you and you don't mean to do it, but it just happens. So that's your low priority spend. And then you want to think about every time you go to spend your money, like, is this low, medium, or high? Do I need to plan for it, or can I do away with it? And knowing this high, medium, low spending is going to help you formulate your spending plan. And help you sort of think about how you need to organize your money. So for all my higher priority spends, I always put that money aside as soon as I get paid. My medium priority spends is like the money that I might spend, or it's, you know, I'm pretty casual about it. Low priority, I don't spend it. And this is not to say that, you know, you have to cut back on your spending, but if you are in a position where you're spending more than you want to, or bills are getting tight, or you want to put more money away in savings, knowing what your high, medium, and low priority spends are will help you decide where you can cut back on your spending. Okay, so you've done your own earn spend. You've figured out what's your high priority and low priority and medium priority spending. Now we're going to look at debt. because debt is probably the biggest thing getting in the way of financial wellness, assuming that you've got a job and are earning income. So prioritizing paying off your higher interest debt. Let's look at this one. Now, we talked earlier about good debt and bad debt. So good debt being anything with a low interest rate and money that you borrowed to buy an asset. So something that goes up in value, like property, shares, or investing in your education. But then there's the bad debt. So anything with an interest rate above 5%, something that you usually borrowed money to buy something that went down in value. So credit cards, personal loans, buy now, pay laters, leases, excluding your home lease and things like that. So if you've got any of these debts and you're like, how do I actually get on top of these? I've got this little, what I call the snowball plan. Now, I didn't come up with this. This is from Dave Ramsey. And it's just a strategy that you might want to use if you do have some of these debts to help you pay them off really quickly. So you go to the O column and you look at all the loans that you wrote down. You're going to organize them from the one with the smallest amount owing, the smallest balance, to the highest balance. Write them all down. What's the minimum spend? What's the interest rate? The second thing you're going to do is remove temptation that might be causing you to build up your loan. So, if it's a credit card and you find it very easy to spend, because you're tapping away on your Apple Pay, or when it's in your wallet and on a night out, it's your go-to kind of safety net. You need to take it off the Apple Pay. You need to take it out of your wallet. Get rid of it. If it's a case of you get marketed to and find it hard to resist those sales, like when West Elm sends you a newsletter and it says 60% off all rugs, and you're like, yeah, I really need a rug. Hit unsubscribe. There's a really cute little app called, I think it's unroll.me. And it will unsubscribe you from all marketing emails in a hit. So if you want to do that, that's an option. And then step 3 is to ready, aim, fire. So you are going to pay the minimum amount on all of those loans to make sure you're keeping on top of them. Pay the minimum amount owing. Gesticulating, I nearly knocked something off the table. And then on the smallest loan, you're going to put all your surplus cash to paying that off. You're going to keep going until you've paid one off, and you're going to have a little celebration, and then rinse and repeat. You're going to do it again until you've paid off all your loans. So you go from the smallest to the largest. Now, when you do pay off one of those loans, definitely have a little celebration. Just don't go crazy. So buy yourself like an ice cream, or I don't know, a manicure, or boys, buy yourself a beer or whatever. But yeah, just don't go nuts. Don't buy a trip to Ibiza or something. Not that you can, but you know what I'm saying. Okay, step 4, build up your OMG fund. Now, what's an OMG fund? I'm hearing everyone say, a lot of people call them emergency funds. Some people call them the rainy day fund. Some people call it the F-off fund as well. Often gets called that. I like to call it the OMG fund. And it's like your financial ride or die. So you know how in your life you've got that best friend who, if you are in trouble, they will be there in a second. They'll bail you out. They're there for you. This is the financial version of that. So this is money set aside in a high interest savings account to get you out of those like, oh my gosh, moments. At first, if you just put away $1,000, you're going to be doing really well. 2 out of 3 Australian households can't find $500 in an emergency. So if you can just put away $1,000, you're doing better than 2/3 of Australia. So good on you. But the goal is to build up the equivalent of 3 to 6 months worth of expenses. So going back to step 1, looking at the own, owe, earn, spend, look at the spend column. What was the amount that you need to cover every month to get by? Times that by 3, times that by 6, and that's what your target balance is for your OMG funds. All right, so we're halfway through the night. I just want to check everyone's still alive. Tell me, out of these 5 options, which 2 aren't OMG moments? So OMG moment number 1, oh my gosh, my car broke down. Could you use your OMG funds for that? 2, OMG, I've lost my job. Could you use your OMG funds for that? OMG, those shoes are so me. Would you use your OMG funds for that? Number 4, OMG, my parents are sick and they need me. Could you use my OMG funds for that? Or OMG, it's 3 a.m. and shots on me. So which are the two that you can't use your OMG money for? So Ben, good call out. That's definitely one of your OMG moments. Excellent, excellent. Which are the two where you're like, no, yes, that's right. Shots and shoes. Excellent, guys. You are good. Too clever. So yeah, your OMG funds is there for OMG moments. Younger Betsy could not be trusted with her OMG money. I used to have it sitting like with my other money all with the same bank. But what I learned is that I needed to put it in a separate bank account with a different bank. Because, yeah, young Betsy liked to shout all of her friends a drink at 3 a.m. And that was not helping my OMG account at all. So if you're like me and can't trust your drunk self, consider putting this money somewhere else where you can't access it as easily. That's my hot tip. All right, cool. Now we're up to step number 5. So this is the 5th step. And there's so many things I wish we could have covered tonight. I wish we could have gone more into like how to create a spending plan. Wish we could have gone more into superannuation and investing, but we've only got an hour. So I'm really just focusing on what are the practical steps to getting financially healthy. But if you do have any more questions or ever want to catch up, you can definitely hit me up on Instagram or at my website. But for now, how are you going to diversify your income? So this is a little secret I'm going to let you in on. And it's about how the ultra rich get rich and stay rich. And it's by having more than one source of income. That's how they do it. With all my private banking clients, that's what I would see in common. It didn't matter if they had earned their money through a job or earned money through investments, or if they'd done it through having business, they always had more than one source. Oh, good question, Jackie, about Raisin Spaceship. I'm going to come back to you on that one. So now, what are the 7 sources of income? So I've got them written down here. Earned income, money you earn from a job. There's profit income, money made by selling something. So buy it for $1, sell it for $2, easy, easy. Interest income, money made from lending your money. So when you put money in your bank is actually using that money on money markets, and that's why they pay you interest for money sitting in your savings account. You can also earn interest by buying what's called a bond. A bond is where you lend your money to a government or a financial institution, and they pay you interest for the pleasure of doing that, and then they pay you back the capital later. So that's interest income. Dividend income is when you get paid a part profit of a company that you own a piece of. Rental income, we probably all know, is when you own a property, someone rents it, they pay you weekly, monthly income. Capital gains is when you buy an asset like a house or a share in a company for a price, and then you sell it for more money later, capital gain income. And then there's royalty income. This is a good one. If you can get on this one, that's always great, which is basically you make money by letting people use your products, your processes, and ideas. So they're the 7 sources of income. Now, I understand a lot of us, we've had a pretty tumultuous year. We might be stood down right now and are thinking about how else can we get some additional income in our life. So I've just put 18 ideas up here to generate some more income. You might want to do one of these. I don't think you could do all of these. If you could, you're very creative and exceptionally busy. But, there's always a little way to make a bit more income if you want to, if you need to. So here's some ideas. There's definitely more out there. And if anyone has some additional ones they want to share, please pop it in the chat. But there's sharing your space. So it could be a car space. It could be getting a new roommate in, something like that. Leasing your car on things like the car next door. Writing an ebook and selling it every time someone downloads it. Maybe you might want to write an ebook on how to be the most fabulous hotelier, or write the best resume, or recipes. I don't know, what's your jam? But I'm sure you've got a talent that you could write a book for. You could become a coach or a tutor like me. My financial coaching is my side hustle and I love it. You could review resumes, start a blog. You could invest in real estate potentially. You could open an e-commerce store, start selling things. You could become a peer-to-peer lender. You might want to buy dividend paying shares, ETFs, or managed funds. You could become a fitness instructor. I know quite a few gals in my friendship group have recently become Pilates instructors and are getting a bit of extra cash doing that. You could start sitting either for children or pets. You could walk some pets like dogs. You could become a freelancer. You might want to sign up to Airtasker to do odd jobs. They're selling photographs if you're a great photographer, or potentially become a virtual assistant in your downtime. All just a couple of ideas. Oh, I hit the buttons too quickly. But as Warren Buffett says, if you don't find a way to make money in your sleep, you will work until you die. So, you know, even if it's just through your superannuation fund and building that up, that's going to, that's an investment portfolio. It's going to increase in value and eventually that's going to become your income. So paying attention to your super is a really great way to do it. Or starting to invest in assets that produce income is another option too. And I would so love to go into the details about how to get started on investing, but yeah, we only had so much time tonight. But because this is really just the beginning, here's like 5 steps to get you started, to get you well, but I really, really encourage you to keep learning and listen to some great podcasts, maybe get behind some finfluencers, financial influencers. It's a thing. So websites that I really love, one is moneysmart.gov.au. I love it because it's produced by the government. It's really just practical advice. They even have a guide on how to financially prepare to buy a puppy. They've thought of everything. But I also like it because no one's trying to sell you anything on this website. It's just a government website. So I like that. Listen to some great podcasts. Ones that I really like are called Pocket Money. That's brought to you by finder.com.au. Shares for beginners. If you're interested in starting to invest in shares, that's a good place to start. My Millennial Money is another good one. And She's on the Money is a couple. There's heaps out there, but they're just a few that I like. And then, of course, you can read. So the first 2 are some Aussie books. Barefoot Investor, Scott Pave, shout out. Then there's Effie Zahos, another Australian financial commentator. She wrote A Real Girl's Guide to Money. There's another one that I didn't include here actually, but it's called The Joy of Money, which is really great and written by the editors of Money magazine. Really old, famous one, Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. A lot of people love that one. And The Richest Man in Babylon is a really good one for understanding investing and compound returns. Now, Jackie, you said, would you put your OMG money in an online share account like Raise or Spaceship? So you could. When I think about putting money in shares, I think about what is my investment horizon. So typically, if you're going to invest in something like shares, you want it to be money that you're not going to use in the next sort of 4+ years, simply because the share market goes up and down. So, you know, it might bounce around in value. But the cool thing about investing in shares is they're quite liquid, meaning that you can take them from being shares to cash quite quickly. So in that sense, having them in like Raise or Spaceship isn't a bad idea. So I can't tell you exactly what to do because I don't have a license to do that right now, and this is like a public forum, but that is an option. It is an option. Just make sure you understand the underlying risks of putting in a share portfolio and how the value might fluctuate. But in terms of liquidity, it definitely has that there. Guys, feel free to shout out any more questions as well. Now, how to get bang for your buck from tonight's session. First of all, get real with your money. Go away, write down what you own, owe, and spend. The cool thing about doing this is it tells you 2 things. First of all, it tells you your net worth. What are you worth? So you add up everything you own, you add up everything you owe, and what's the net of that? Is it a positive or negative figure? I'm sure you're all going to be in the positive. It also tells you if you're spending more than you earn. Spending more than you earn is a quick way to take yourself into financial turmoil. So if you are spending more than you earn, that's when you might want to look at reprioritizing your spending to help bring you back into positive territory. It's also an option if you're spending more than you want to and you'd like to be saving more money. It's another option to do that. Number 3 is pay off any high interest debt. Make that a priority. Start building up that OMG fund and start, once you've done all of those, you can start diversifying your income. And I really like this quote by Professor Scott Galloway. He runs a great podcast called Recode, Decode and Pivot with Kara Swisher. And he says, it would be a shame to waste a good crisis. And I think, you know, we can't control what's going on around us, but maybe this is an opportunity and a time to really engage with your finances, get educated, and start building some security and some wealth for yourself. So please come through with some Q&As. Actually, I forgot to say, best Q&A wins a free one-on-one coaching session with myself, valued at $295, to just have a little chat and see how you're doing with your financial well-being. So bring them in. I've had some from Jackie already. I had a couple come through on emails. So one person asked me about investing for the long term and how would you get started on that. So I wish I could have covered all of that today, but let me tell you, there's a really great webinar series that the Ladies Finance Club have available on their website. It's a 3-part series, and they produced it with Vanguard, which is a big investment fund. They were the guys that came up with ETFs for the first time, so really trusted brand. So you can watch that. That's a really good place to learn about investing, because when you do think about investing for the long term, you want to start by knowing what your goals are. You want to understand the asset classes and the risk and the return that they generate. You want to understand how to compile a portfolio and have diversification, which means spreading your risk around. And then you should be in a good position to start investing. And Adriana just asked, can you invest with Vanguard from Australia? Yes, you can. And you can actually, they've got a new investment platform out where you can start as a beginner investor investing with small amounts of money in a portfolio of shares where it's got quite balanced risk. So what I mean by that is, a portfolio is essentially like a sample of lots of different companies. It's like a box of chocolates. There's lots of different flavors in there. And it's a way for you to have exposure to many things with a small amount of money. I would love to talk about this in more detail, but yeah, check it out. That's a really good place to start. Definitely watch the Ladies Finance Club webinar series. It's free and it's available. Let me take a question from online. I have a question out of your topic today. I began my business from zero number. Nice. How can I get my money for organizing to my company, and any recommending source to support finance? Okay, so if you've started a business, couple of things that you want to do. You want to know your numbers. So first of all, what kind of structure is your company in? Are you a sole trader, as in the company is in your personal name and you pay your personal tax rate? Are you a partnership? Are you a company, or are you a trust? Knowing what kind of organization you are will determine what's your tax rate. So that's a really good one to understand. And finding a good accountant to help you really understand the financial reports that you might have to prepare as a business is really good. So finding a good accountant. There's lots of startup communities where you could ask, who can recommend a great accountant and things like that. So try and find an online community to support you. And then the second thing would be just really getting across your numbers. Get a good accounting system like a Xero or QuickBooks or something. Make sure that you're covering your costs and make sure you're putting money aside for tax. and then think about what to do with the profits. Are you going to reinvest in your company? Are you going to pay yourself an income? Where to from here? And if you can do all of this before you start your company, that's an even better place to start to have a general plan. So it's my 5-second piece of guidance and advice. I'm just trying to think. Send me a DM on Instagram and I can send you some other sites that you might want to check out. This is my Instagram handle. Hopefully you're on Insta. But yeah, you can find me there. Now, another question I said that I saw come through, let me just read it out. This came through on the email, and it said, for those students who are fresh out of university and have the expenses of finding their own rental, fuel, and other life expenses with no prior massive savings and without support from family, as you would have like if you were living at home, what piece of advice would you give to ensure that you are ready to live a balanced life of having fun and also saving? So if you are in this boat, I would create a framework for managing your money. So step one is know what your bills are and what's the things that you have to pay. I call it the financial adulting. So things like paying your rent, your fuel, I think you listed a few of them there, other life expenses. Know what those are, know what your income is, and then if there's money left over after those two things, that's what you can then decide to either put away in savings or spend. So I like to have, sorry, I like to have 4 main accounts for my banking. I have my money comes in, the money I have to put towards bills gets transferred out straight away. I transfer out my savings, and then I have my spendings. And the 4th account is for my OMG fund over there as well. So having a little structure like that and knowing how much money you're giving yourself for each of those categories is a really good way for you to be able to keep across your money and get a good balance between having fun, but also putting money away for the future. So I'll just recap that again. You've got the bills account, you've got the money for fun times, you've got the money for savings, and you've got your OMG savings as well. Kirsten asked, do you have those 4 accounts with the same bank? You can, or if you prefer to have them with a separate bank, particularly for the OMG savings, you can, but it's totally up to you. I like to see my money in one place, but you know, you've got to find the right structure for you, but definitely separating it so that you allocate your money for different purposes really helps keep yourself organized and on top of your money. And then I had another question come through. As an international student, I'm still paying back my educational loan. Since half my salary goes to paying that back, what simple steps can I take to secure my future financially? So that is definitely a big expense. And I can appreciate that feels pretty overwhelming. So I think thinking about where can you reprioritize spending using that spending planner so that you're spending money on the things that matter and not having any kind of financial leaks going out is one way. Do decide how to put some money aside for the future. If you just do 10% of everything you earn, that's great, you're doing better than most. And that's what I started doing when I was at uni. And you know, when you go on placement, when I was on placement, I'd always just put away 10% of everything I earned. Wasn't earning a lot of money, as you can imagine, but it just meant that I was always growing my savings and building that up even while I wasn't earning a lot of money. So something's always better than nothing. And then think about other ways where you might be able to generate some extra income. So, you know, is it selling some of your stuff online? Is it picking up a little side hustle? If that's something that you want to explore and have capacity to do, that's another way to help, you know, pay down that student loan faster so that you can start keeping more of your salary. Awesome. All right, guys, so we're at 5:50. I just want to check, is there any final questions before we head to the next bit? I'm going to just quickly go back and see who's been asking questions. All righty, cool. All right. Well, this brings us to the end of the session. Please stay in touch. I'm shortly going to announce our winner. But please check out my website, betsywestcott.com, for lots of blog articles with different money tips. All my free resources are there, and you can also take the money personality quiz. I'm on Insta at Ms. Betsy Westcott, Facebook, Betsy Westcott, and LinkedIn, Betsy Westcott again. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you got some practical tools there tonight. Like I said, there's so many things I wish we could talk about. So if you do want to have any more money sessions as a part of the Alumni Leadership Series, please drop us a note and let us know what you would like to hear. And the winner of the free one-on-one coaching session is Adriana Riviera. So Adriana, if you're still on the line, just drop me a note. Otherwise I will, oh yeah, there you are. Hi, congrats. Drop me a note and I will tee up that session with you as well. Awesome. Thanks so much, everyone. I'll just stay online if anyone's got some final questions. Otherwise, have a fabulous night and have a glass of wine for me. See you, Kirsten. Bye, Nico. Bye, Ben. Bye, Tracy. Bye, Janine. Bye, Tom. Thanks for coming. Bye. Thanks, Jackie. Alrighty. All right. Night, guys. See you.